Hello, Jake. How you doing?
I'm really well.
All right. So we have several journalists that are participating with us back home that couldn't be with us today, but they've all submitted questions that we'll ask you, and we'll do a process of follow-up questions and so forth. But let's dive right in.
Okay.
So Simon from Intaction.com asks if you were familiar with the game before you got involved with the film.
Well, Simon, I was familiar with the game since I was a young boy. I used to play the side-scrolling version of the Prince of Persia, the original Jordan Mechner created version on the first Mac computer in elementary school. I remember doing that. And then I took like a 20-year hiatus from the game, though I did know about it, but I didn't really play it that much. I played other games, and then when I read the script for this movie, I took the opportunity and I started researching, and I started playing the game, and I got to know it very, very intimately.
Excellent. Rebecca from About.com asks, how much parkour training did you do, and was it what you expected?
I did. I worked. It was the first set of type of training that I started to do, which was, I guess, a little bit of parkour. First, I was working with gymnasts, starting to work on landings and things like that, while I was doing regular, cardiovascular training and other things for the role. I didn't really start doing the serious parkour stuff until we got to Morocco, and we started choreographing the scenes on top of, Kasbah's and Ouarzazate, Morocco, and all the sets that we were shooting in. And I think the hardest part of doing it is really the focus and sort of being present and training your mind to not worry about whether you're going to make the landing, but just focusing on, being present in the moment.
Despite the structure of making movies and everything like that, having the opportunity to play the lead of a game that you had played as a young kid must have been pretty wild. What was that like?
Wow. It was like, sometimes I wish I could go back. In these past few days, I was thinking, I wish I could go back and tell, that 8-year-old kid who was playing the game that, one day, 20 some odd years later, he would be playing the lead in a Jerry Bruckheimer blockbuster movie based on that video game, and just see how, his eyes would pop out of his head, how excited he'd be. And for me, that's kind of how I felt when I was making the movie. I felt like I was kind of unlocking that piece of my childhood again. It was like fun every day, running and jumping and fighting bad guys.
Destan kind of starts out at the beginning of the film a little cocky and ultimately learns to be a little bit more humble. How did you want to kind of show this subtle transformation that comes from Fred at Sci-Fi Ware?
Fred, well, I don't know if he really loses his cockiness throughout the whole film. I hope he maintains it just enough. But what I think does happen is, sorry, we're being shot at by alien lasers here. I don't know if you could hear that. I think what happens is he realizes the importance of this, this dagger in his destiny, and he realizes how much his family means to him. I think at the beginning of the movie, he's an orphan, and he's rescued by the king. And when he has the potential of losing this family that has brought him in and basically saved his life, when that's threatened, I think he starts taking his life and the lives of others around him much more seriously. But I think he still maintains a little bit of wit and humor throughout all of it.
This question comes from Oscar at Original Gamer. Are there any differences in preparing for a role that's so well established, like the Prince of Persia, and kind of has been a part of gaming for more than 20 years in comparison to other roles that you've prepared for? Or?
Yeah, it's a very, very difficult form of research. It required playing the game 3 or 4 times a day, which is very, very, very difficult job. A lot of people don't know this, but acting is just so hard. It's Oscar, right? And I just want it's practicing getting on the game and playing the game 3 or 4 times a day, and getting paid to exercise. It was really tough. No, there wasn't much difference, actually. That's the interesting thing. If you're playing a character that's based on in a book, or one that's even been alive, you have to give as much attention, and you have to focus just as much as you would if it's a video game character or if it's a real life human being. That's at least how I feel.
Sheila from moviesonline.ca asks, do you feel that there's anything about your character that sends a positive message to young people who are kind of coming into adulthood and want to kind of recognize their potential as they grow?
Yeah, I think for specifically the character of Dastan, I think, like I was saying before, he was an orphan, and he was brought into a family, or the royal family, by the king because of a good deed that he did, and because of, he was pure of heart when he, did this deed. And I think a lot of things kind of threaten us all the time by, to not listen to our own hearts, to make choices that are about, what other people think are cool or what other people say are cool. And, the lesson and the moral of this movie for Dastan is to follow his own heart and, to influence other people around him, like his brothers and his family, to follow theirs too. And when you do, and when he does, and when he helps the other people around him, it all works out for the best. Ultimately, it's not painless, but it's for the best. And I hope that, kids and families, but particularly kids, can take away, that if they listen to their heart, they'll never really go wrong.
Excellent. Sean at 411mania.com asks, you're best known for your dramatic roles, and how was it different for you to prepare for this kind of large-scale action adventure as compared to those others?
Well, it required a lot of technical work that I usually do in movies, but this was, learning how to do the rudimentary aspects of parkour, learning how to sword fight, which involved, learning martial arts and having martial arts training, and learning choreography, really complicated choreography, having 2 swords that I use, and learning how to horseback ride proficiently in a way that I could do stunts, learning in a British accent. And on top of all of that, on a movie of this size, when you make a different choice, like if you block out a scene, for instance, and you make a different choice in the middle of the day, and you say, well, maybe I should be over here. If you make that choice, it affects 1,000 more people than, it would on a smaller movie or in other movies. And it's just, the sheer size of it is like, I guess I could compare it to like going to a sports event. Like every day on set, I would drive up to set, and there'd be 500 cars like lined up for 5 miles before you even got to set. And then you would get to the base camp of set, and it'd be like an army had set up camp. And then we'd get on to set, and there'd be these massive sets built that were 250 feet high with like every intricate detail done so that they could shoot anywhere, and then thousands of extras. And it was like, I would get suited up every morning. It'd take 40 minutes to put on my costume. I had these crazy intense boots that I wore that were like all parkour style so that I could do the stunts. I had, like, I think you can see it on the poster a little bit, but I had all these different things that were attached to my costume, and it took a long time. So it's kind of like getting prepared for some big sporting event.
Our last question of the day comes from Jamie at movieweb.com, and he asks, was it important when playing the hero of the movie to go up against, a fantastic villain such as Nizam, played by Ben Kingsley, and kind of what was it like playing opposite him?
Well, you know what? There are a lot of villains in this movie. There may be actually ones that you would never expect. There are, I would say, cumulatively, like maybe 10 or 15 people chasing after the Dagger of Time, and who are not for the right reasons. But specifically working with someone like, I would say 4, because he is Sir Ben Kingsley. Working for Sir Ben Kingsley, it's just incredible. I mean, when you work with somebody of that level, that stature, who has that amount of experience, that many years, has done such extraordinary work, it's kind of an actor's dream come true. The interesting thing about Sir Ben, is that he has a real childish play to him. So you can kind of, I acted really, really like conservatively around him when I first started acting, and he was like, come on, because he sits up really straight, and he seems so regal, but he really likes to kind of get down and dirty with his acting, and so do I. So it was great fun and a real honor.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate you being with us today.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for your questions.
We'll be back in just a moment with Mike Newell.
All right. Enjoy yourselves.